Hey everyone, Fenris Models here, and today we're going to take a look at what comes in the box for Tamiya's Tyrannosaurus diorama set in 1/35th scale. So yeah, this is another one of the diorama sets from Tamiya. I know it's been a little bit since we've really looked into these, but yeah, I've been sitting on this one for a little bit, and I figured it was time for us to go ahead and crack it on open and see what all comes in the box. Alright, like you can see here, we have some instructions. We have, what is this, 1, 2, 3 sprues and a base. And we have our little incidentals here, so yeah. How about, like we normally do, let's start looking at the instructions. And it does come with two, as Tamiya's often want to do. We have one in Japanese, and then one that has English, German, and French in it. And so it does open up with some information on the Tyrannosaurus itself. And if we look down here, we actually do have some various types of Tyrannosaurs, because in addition to Tyrannosaurus Rex, you have things like Albertosaurus, Nanotyrannus, and Tarbosaurus. So this just kind of gives some interesting details about those dinosaurs. And then it folds out to multiple pages. I don't know why Tamiya does this. I would rather them like make a single booklet type, but this is just the way that they do it. But it does have some more information about the T-Rex, the way it behaved, the size of their teeth, and yes, this is legitimately how big each of their teeth were. So you can see, just compared to my massive hand, just how big their teeth were. Some interesting facts on them, and some facts on some of their prey. So Tamiya has included a good bit of information on the dinosaur, which is really interesting. And then you have your basic, here are some extra tools you'll want, and then we finally get into the building instructions. So we have our two hind legs that we'll start with, but there are two positions we can have them. We can have them in a walking position, or with 1 foot up, or a, I guess still walking position, but with both feet on the ground. So do you want it mid stride, or do you want having completed stride, I guess is really the way to go. So it looks like the left hind leg is the same in both instances. It's just the right hind leg that varies. And so there's a metal rod that goes in. Because of the size of the kit, it does need a metal rod for stability's purposes, especially if you're going to do that first option with one leg up. But you will then attach the legs and sandwich that on in there. And then we move on to the jaw, where we have another option available to us. If you want the mouth open or closed, we'll determine which parts you're going to use there. And then we have attaching that mouth to the upper to the head, and then the upper jaw to whichever of the lower jaws you choose. And the hands, those don't seem to change. And then we have the cycad, which looks like it's pretty much the same as the one we saw in the Triceratops diorama set. So you have these paper covered wires that will go into the top. You'll fix it in place with some super glue, glue the pieces together, and then you will take the paper fern portions, cut them to size, and fold them with a ruler, and then snip out some patterning there and fold them into place. So it's very similar to what we saw on the Triceratops diorama set. And we do have some Parasaurolophus bones, a spine piece, and a skull alongside a fallen tree to add. And then we have the adding of them to the diorama base. And then as you can see, we then attach the T-Rex. There's that metal rod. It has a little rock that will kind of cover it a little bit. And it does include a washer and a nut to go on the bottom side, just to fix it in place and make sure the T-Rex doesn't fall over. As well as a name plaque and the little paleontologist figurine that comes with these sets. And then we move on to painting. Now, again, it's dinosaurs, so it's not going to fully have a painting guide per se. These let you kind of just go wild and do whatever you want, but here's some tips on how to do some of the stuff, especially the eye tips I found to be very, very insightful. But yeah, it shows you how to use the putty to mask, or not mask, but to fill the gaps in the parts. So yeah. And then here is the painting example that they include for what they did. So they say what base coat they used, how they kind of did the different parts. So if you want to get it to match what was on the box, you can do that. Otherwise, one of my favorite things about dinosaur kits is just going wild and painting them however you want. So to start, we have the T-Rex body pieces. a lot of nice detail in those. You can see all that nice scale detail, which we don't want to lose that when we put the parts together, so that using that putty to mask the seam line, getting it really watered down so you don't fill in these details, is going to be very important, because you can just see how much work was put into that. All sorts of detail. We have our hands and the leg, or I guess those are not the hands, those are the other foot parts, but yeah. Now this did initially come with a piece on this side, and I will admit, we did have this part fall off of the sprue in the bag, and so we did clip off the little pieces, me and Minifin, and we did glue this together. So this has already been completed. As you can see, I'll show where those parts are on in the other piece, but yeah, this had previously been attached there. So, and then our second sprue, and you can see there's the Tyrannosaurus head, along with both of our options for the bottom jaw, whether you're going to do it open or shut, which I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think we should do it. If we should do it mouth open or mouth shut, leg up or leg down. And then here on the dark colored sprue, we have our cycad pieces. Again, there's two of them, two cycads, along with the Parasaurolophus vertebrae. If you notice here, there's a part missing, as well as right here. Well, when we were at it, the little one also wanted to go ahead and get the paleontologist put up on his base, so we did that already as well. Spoilers for the build video. But then we have the Parasaurolophus skull, some of the rocks alongside the tops of the cycads, and the dead tree there, and more of the Parasaurolophus bones. And then finally we have the base. And now, as you can see, we have a bunch of rocks molded in there, but what I do like is we have at least 2 footprints put in place on this one. So for that reason alone, I'm kind of leaning towards putting the T-Rex on both feet, but I haven't decided yet. And I think that's where the metal rod will go through. But and then here is the I think it's like a hemp paper or something. It's some kind of, let me do this real fast just to show you. I'm gonna tear off a corner of it. But you can see it's kind of a very plant fibrous paper, almost kind of spongy. And so this is going to give us that really nice leaf-like appearance when we cut them out. But you'll cut each one out, and then taking a metal ruler, just essentially crease it along that middle fold line there, and then you can glue it onto the provided paper-covered wires. These will be for those cycads. So you can see this is that same kind of paper, just wrapped around some pieces of wire, so those will go through, as well as the metal bar that's going to be helping keep Rexy standing. And then one other thing I did want to point out before we fully wrap things up, this is the base for the Tyrannosaurus diorama set, but as you can see, it fits perfectly with the Triceratops one. And if you recall, even though this has the Velociraptors on it, this was the Parasaurolophus diorama base. And the Chasmosaurus one that I built with Minifin actually fits perfectly right here. Actually, let me get this scooched over just a little bit more. But as you can see, it forms a nice little rectangle of parts. So if you so want, you can take and display all 4 of them. Now, what I'm very curious to find out is whether or not the Brachiosaurus, which has its own base, the Brachiosaurus diorama set, I don't know if it fits with these or not. I would love to find out. If anybody knows, please let us know in the comments below. I do plan on getting that kit, though, at some point here in the near future, so if, you know, nothing else, keep an eye out, and eventually we will have an answer. So yeah, that was the Tyrannosaurus diorama set from Tamiya in 1/35th scale. Now, as you saw, there is still the bit of inaccuracies with the dinosaurs themselves. We think today that Tyrannosaurus probably had at least some very small feathers. He probably wasn't super feathered, but we know that he probably had at least some. And you know, we kind of saw that with some of these other kits too. Again, they were initially tooled in the 90s, so they're a little bit older of a sculpt. But this is the updated sculpt for the T-Rex. The Tamiya also has a T-Rex that's freestanding, that's not the diorama set, and it is a little bit older of a design, I'll say, whereas this one is a little more modern. It's still has some inconsistency, or not inaccuracies, but it's not terribly bad. But yeah. So tell me what you thought. Tell me what you'd want to see with this. If you want to see it with the single leg up pose, if you want mouth open or mouth closed, even what colors you want to see this in, please let me know. And let me know what you thought of the kit itself. Let me know if it's one that you're interested in picking up at some point. So yeah. But in the meantime, stay safe and keep modeling. Thank you, Cali Bear, and all of my starter set patrons. Your support is invaluable and keeps this channel going.